Hello, hi everyone. Welcome for another live with us. I am with another guest speaker this month, and I'm very happy to welcome Kathryn Jones, all the way from Adelaide, Australia. Hi, Kathryn.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. How are you doing?
Fantastic, thank you.
Awesome. So let me just quickly introduce you to the parents. So Kathryn is a mom of 5 kids, age 6 to 19, sorry, yeah, big ones. She is a certified parenting by connection instructor through Hand-in-Hand Parenting in the USA and a certified inside-out paradigm coach. Her goal is to empower moms and dads to parent from a peaceful place inside. It is her vision to build a parenting revolution where children are brought up with loving connection to their parents so that they meet their full emotional and intellectual potential to be strong and resilient leaders of the future. I just love your message and your vision, Kathryn. So would you like to add anything to that?
I guess the thing is with having 5 children is that I do practice what I preach, and that everything that I teach, I get challenged in every single day. And when I first started this way of parenting, my youngest was only 6 months old. So I have used this way of parenting from 6 months. So not from a newborn, but from 6 months right through to, I've got my 19-year-old turning 20 soon. So it covers all ages.
Yes, it does. Absolutely. So today we are going to talk about our children's big emotions.
Yes.
So, well, first of all, could you define for us what you mean by big emotions?
Sure. And this is one of the reasons why parenting is so challenging for parents is our children's big emotions. So when I talk about big emotions, I mean it's when our kids are losing it, like they're having tantrums or they're screaming, even big emotions where it means they're hiding away as well. So children are having big emotions if they're withdrawing as well. So you've got the kid in the corner just twirling their hair or something like that. That is a child that's having big emotions as well. So it may not be loud and messy. It's all of those behaviors that we struggle with, where we see that our child is not doing well. And so therefore we're not doing well because we feel a bit lost, perhaps a bit helpless, because we want to help them. We want to know what's going on to be able to help them back on track to be that loving, beautiful child that we know them to be.
Yes. So it can be very loud and you can hear them like big tantrums, but it can also be sort of more discreet, but they're still
so withdrawal. So it can be even like in a teenager, them being lost in their phone all the time. I mean, there's big stuff going on for them to be disappearing into their phone rather than interacting with the other people in their life.
Yes. So it translates for each age differently, but it doesn't mean it's not only like for small kids that we can see their big emotions more clearly. It can go through the whole range, can't it?
Yes, that's right. And so I guess when we talk about big emotions, the ones that perhaps we struggle with the most, especially when they happen in public, are the tantrums. Is that big, loud emotions that kids have. And of course, the 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds get labeled as being the ones that have the tantrums. But the reality is tantrums come in every form, right through all the ages. Even teenagers have tantrums. And a teenager tantrum it can be very scary, actually, because especially if they're a boy and they've got really big, that can be scary. But the reality is, if we're honest, as adults, we have tantrums too. There are times when we have tantrums. Lose it. So basically, I guess what we're talking about a bit today is when someone loses it, no matter what age they are.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us, what is really going on when we face these big emotions in our children, and what can we do about it as parents?
That's a really fantastic question, because a lot of the time we misunderstand this behavior in our children. So, for instance, let's give a typical scenario. You go out for the day with the family. You're having a wonderful day. The kids are playing. You're having a nice time, perhaps with the other adults. Everyone's having a nice time. You get home and the kids just lose it. They're obnoxious. They won't do what they're told. They're crying. They're screaming. They won't have their bath. They won't settle down for bed. All these types of things. This is quite a normal kind of scenario, typical, right?
Yes,
very typical scenario. So what in that particular scenario I've described is happening is, during that time, we've been connecting with the other adults, having a lovely time. They've been connecting with the other kids, having a lovely time. When we all come together at the end, they're disconnected from us because they've been disconnected from us through the day. This is if we're talking about often the typical examples, like you might go for a picnic at the park and the kids play and the adults sit and chat. So when they've come home, they're disconnected. They're not saying to you that they're ungrateful for the good time that they had. They're not saying that they're trying to manipulate you for more of whatever. What they're saying is, I feel really disconnected from you right now. And so I'm having big feelings around all of that, and I just need help getting back on track. And so the solution in that moment is to come into the child, towards the child at their level, not in a scary way, and connect with them. So putting them in time out to go and think about why they're being so ungrateful, or giving them consequences like, well, since you're behaving like this, we won't go to the park next time. All these sorts of things that naturally come out of our mouth is actually more disconnecting. It's actually pushing them away at a time when they need us to scoop them up and bring us to them, or us to come to them. And so what I love to do is actually teach parents to take the labels out of children's behavior. Stop calling it naughty or manipulative or rebellious or any of these labels we give it, and just look at it all as off track. All of that behavior is just the child is off track. When a child is off track, what it's telling you is that child is feeling disconnected, that they need connection. So you come in and you connect with them and work towards them reconnecting, and then they become that sweet, loving child again. Now, one of the things I want to say about tantrums and crying, though, is that tantrums and crying is often the bridge between off track and on track. That because they're having these big feelings, you might have to stay with them while they go through those feelings, as in the tantrum or the crying, and when they get out the other side, then they're on track. Sometimes just connecting with them will help, but sometimes you might have to weather the storm till you get to the other side and they're back on track. And one of the really exciting things when you see that happen is watching their little mind pop back in and come back on track, and they're, it's like their eyes light up again. It's quite miraculous, really.
Yes, and when you do that, you also teach them for the next time.
Yes.
Better than just sending them in a corner or, just pushing them away, because when you push them away, they don't necessarily learn to actually process their emotions, do they?
That's right. So part of coming into them is, if they're doing things that are unacceptable, is setting the limit and stopping that. So if they're hitting their sibling because they're, off track and having all this emotion going on, we don't allow that. We don't allow them to hit us. We stop that in a very respectful way. So if they're trying to hit their sibling, then we would bring our arm in, not in a rushed, scary way, but in a very calm and firm way. Yes. Blocking them and going, I can't let you do that. That's not okay. And you just use that tone of voice. It's very calm. It's very respectful, but it's very firm. There's no pleading in it, and there's no demanding in it. It's this very neutral tone. And so this is where it comes to the difficult part for parents, because none of this works if in that moment we've got our own big feelings suddenly come up. So like we see them hit the sibling, and then suddenly it's like, you can't do that. And so our feelings have come to the surface.
Absolutely.
And so none of it works. You can't connect with your child when you've got big feelings going on either. So we have to really see where we're at ourselves, because if we are getting to the point where the behaviors left us feeling desperate, when we say to them, I can't let you do that, it's going to come out like I can't let you do that. It's going to come out really like we're begging them. Or if it's reached the point where we're
emotions actually get there. Yes.
It comes out in our tone of voice, and our children pick it up. You can't fake it. You can't fake it. They will hear it. Or if we get to the point where we're really frustrated ourselves, then a frustrated tone of voice of, and it will sound really harsh to them, will come out, and it won't work. It has to be that neutral, I can't let you do that, sweetie. That's not okay. And really like calm and firm. And what that shows them is, in that moment when their life is upside down and a mess, we're their rock, because we're coming in there, we're stopping them, because they don't want to hurt other people. It's just that they're not thinking in that moment because of their emotions. We're there to protect them from their own selves, protect everyone else from them, and help them work through those big feelings till they come out the other side. And when we do that with them when they're young, they will come to us when they're teens, because they know it's safe, that they know that even if they've done the dumbest thing, that we're going to stay with them through that until they sort it out. It's very powerful.
It is. And when you're talking, I'm also, because I'm very big on modeling for our kids. And when we do that, we are actually modeling what we want them to do, aren't we? Because we are having big emotions, and we are just sort of also, keeping on this calm, sort of nice vibes and energy, whereas we actually, could feel also our big emotions, but we are playing with them in a way where we can, translate it in a calmer way. And that's actually what we are asking them to do too.
Yes. And the interesting thing is, sometimes we really struggle with that in the moment. And what can be going on is that in that moment, what their behavior is triggering something in us. You know how they say kids push our buttons? They're not really pushing any buttons. What's happening is that their behavior or something about that situation is bringing up our own past hurts from being a child.
Absolutely, yes.
And so we need to actually understand that the child is not making us angry at all. What's making us angry is this intrinsic memory of our past that's come to the surface. And so taking charge of that and getting help working through that, our own childhood, means that we can parent our children better without that stuff getting in the way. So one of the things I love to teach parents is how they do that. How do they resolve that past hurts and the way they were parented, so that they can parent with in a conscious way, in a intuitive way, rather than in a kind of rigid default way that came from the way they were brought up.
Yes, because the more we know ourselves, the more also it gets easier to handle those big emotions for ourselves. Yes, absolutely. So, would you have some quick tools that parents can use in that moment if they haven't yet sort of learned that process? So, what can they do?
Okay, so one of the key things is in that moment, if we are going to do something that's going to harm our child because big feelings have come up for us, then that's when we do a timeout, not for the kids, but for us.
For us.
It's where we say to the kids, we're going to do this later, but I can't do it right now. I'm going to walk away for 5 minutes and then I'm coming back. Now, we only do that if everything's safe. Obviously, if we've got one child hurting another child, we don't leave them in that situation. Yes. We sort them out and then we walk away, and we do whatever we need to do, the sorts of things we know we need to vent. I mean, even if we lock ourselves in our bedroom and hit the pillow against the bed for a while, or jump up and down and have our own little mini tantrum, or do whatever we can to just get the out of us so that we don't take it out on them. And the other quick thing I teach parents is a thing called listening partnerships. This is where parents become partners of one another. And when they have these moments, what they do is they connect, usually on the phone, and they swap, say, 5 minutes. And the one that's having the hard time goes first. And for 5 minutes, they just let off steam. The other person doesn't do anything other than listen while they let off steam. It's kind of like taking the valve off the pressure cooker so that all the steam can come out.
It allows us to, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then they swap over when the other person's calmed down, and that person then listens to the other parent, so that other parent has the opportunity to diffuse anything they might have going on so that they can go back and parent calmly. It's a brilliant tool. Brilliant.
And then on the long term, we can also learn to know ourselves better and to deal with our emotions.
Over time, we get better and better at it, and we need these tools less and less.
Exactly. Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing these tools with us. I'm sure parents will find them very, very helpful. So tell me, what is the best way for parents to connect with you should they want to know a little bit more about you?
So probably find me on Facebook. So I'm known on Facebook as the Peaceful Parenting Coach.
Okay. Yes, I did put the link. So and I'll put it back below our interview so that they can. Okay.
And so then also I have a website, thepeacefulparentingacademy.com.
Okay.
And in there I have some free programs, and the one that I think your audience might find the most interesting is the 5 Peaceful Parenting Secrets. And
that's a free masterclass that you offer.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And now, as long as your audience understands that when I delivered that course, it was to a bunch of Muslims. And so there's things like, I might say, Assalamu alaikum and a few Islamic type words in there.
Okay.
The general theory is not to do with Islam. It's to do with parenting. They'll still get a great deal of really good information about what I've just talked about, but in more detail.
Because the tools fit for every parent, isn't it?
Exactly. It doesn't matter
we are all the same.
Race, religion, what type of parents you are. It's just human. It's human parenting.
Absolutely. I so agree with you. Okay, well, that was brilliant. Thank you so much for being with me.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Awesome. So I'm morning, you are afternoon. So have a nice end of afternoon then. And
yes, thank you very much.
And I'll see you. Bye, Kathryn.
Bye.
So.